We're going to go ahead and start this recording. So thank you so much. And I'll hand the floor over to you, Miss Ramirez. You can go ahead and take it away.
Thank you so much. Well, welcome and thank you for being here today. My name is Betty Ramirez, and I'm a licensed professional counselor currently serving as a behavioral health consultant with the Texas Child Health Access through telemedicine, the TCHAT program, and the Texas Child Mental Health Care Consortium at the University of Texas Rio Grande Valley. I bring to you 24 years of experience in education, including 10 years as a school counselor, and I'm now on my fifth year as a licensed professional counselor. So, our topic for today's presentation is parental co regulation, supporting your child's emotional development. I'm excited to share how this approach can help us as parents connect and support our children's emotional growth. So, before we start talking about parental co regulation, let's take a moment to reflect. You may use your smartphone or log into www.menti.com and enter the code to answer this question. Think about or think back to the last time your child had a big emotional reaction. How did you respond in that moment? Maybe your child cried, yelled, slammed the door, or completely just shut down. Select one response that best reflects your reaction in that moment. So the choices are A, I stayed calm and helped them through it. B, I tried, but I got frustrated too. C, I froze and didn't know what to say. Or D, I reacted emotionally and felt bad afterward. So think how you as a parent might have responded in that moment. Were you able to stay calm? Did you find yourself getting upset too? Or maybe you felt unsure of how to help. So take a few seconds to select your response and we'll review the poll results together in just a few minutes. Wonderful. I'm starting to see some responses. So I'm going to, as we're responding, I'm going to turn and change the screen so that we can see our results. Okay. So we have majority select choice B, which is I tried, but I got frustrated too. Yes, for sure. So parents, let's be honest. Parenting doesn't come with an instructional manual, and none of us gets it right all the time. We've all had moments when emotions were running high and our reactions didn't quite go the way that we planned. And that's okay. What really matters is noticing those moments and learning from them because awareness helps us grow and do better next time. So, for children and teens who struggle with behavioral or mental health challenges, those emotional moments can feel even more intense. But when we pause, reflect, and try new strategies, we can help them feel seen, understood, and supported. Okay, well, thank you all so much for voting on that. I'm going to go ahead and go back to our presentation. Just give me a second to be able to switch. Let me see if I can get that back to our presentation. Oh, here we go. And give me just a second. I'm going to stop sharing for a minute. Oh, I see what it did. It switched my screen. Okay. Now I lost everybody. Give me just a second.
We could see you.
Am I still there?
We could see you. The only thing is we can't see your PowerPoint. Share
Okay.
your PowerPoint with us.
I guess that's what happens when we change screens. Okay, let me see if, okay, there, I see you now. Bear with me, bear with me. Technology stuff
No worries.
can get confusing here. All right, I'm going to go back and I'm going to switch this. Okay, are we able to see it?
No.
Uh,
Not yet.
yeah,
Okay. Oh, I see. Okay. Give me just a second. I'm going to get this. We're going to get this.
no worries.
We will get this. I think what's happening is I'm sharing the screen. Okay, I'm going to share this and I'm going to,
Okay, we could see the screen now.
okay, here we go.
Just do slide. There you go. We got your screens now. All right. Thank you.
You got the screen?
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Okay, here we go. All right. So, this is the focus for today's presentation. Sorry about that distraction. To explore and learn new approaches and strategies that can help our children and teens manage their emotions and behavior through the way that we respond and co regulate with them. That's pretty much what today is going to be about. We'll look at practical tools to help your child feel safe, understood, and supported. We'll start by looking at common mental health diagnosis in children and teens and the typical ages when they are identified using information from the DSM-5, which is known as the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, which is the fifth edition. This will help you understand the challenges and behaviors that your child might be experiencing. Give me just a second. Okay. And next, we'll define what parental co-regulation is. You'll learn what it means to co-regulate with your child and why it's more than just helping them calm down. Co-regulation helps children feel supported and safe when their emotions feel overwhelming. Then we'll explore why co-regulation is important for emotional development, understand how it works in everyday situations, and we will discuss the different stages of co regulation across the developmental ages, and we'll also identify when co regulation is most needed, which many of us probably have an idea what that might be. Finally, we'll share practical strategies that you can use at home to help your child build healthy coping skills and manage emotions. If time permits, we'll wrap up with an opportunity for questions. So before we begin, it's important to note that this information is not meant to diagnose anyone. It is simply a way to provide a general information about common mental health conditions in children and teens. On the next two slides, we will look at some of the most common diagnoses listed in the DSM-5. Okay. This manual is used by mental health professionals to identify and clarify different conditions. We will focus on these common diagnoses, the ages when they're usually first appear, and the key signs or behaviors to notice. Understanding this information can help parents recognize when their child may need support and seek some early help. So, looking at this, ADHD is known as the attention deficit hyperactivity, the diagnosis. ADHD symptoms are usually noticeable between ages 3 and 7, often become clearer as school demands increase. Hyperactivity may appear as early as age 4, while inattention symptoms tend to emerge later, around age 8 to 10. According to the DSM-5, the symptoms must be present before age 12 and are often recognized during the early elementary years. Some of the key characteristics of ADHD to look at is inattention. It's difficult for them to stay focused or pay attention. Hyperactivity, they're always moving as if driven by a motor. Impulsive, they react or say things before thinking about it. Difficulty sitting down and may often get up and walk around or attempt to even climb on things. Sometimes may be very forgetful. They don't do this on purpose. Other signs might be difficulty staying organized or finishing a task. Some of these characteristics can affect their school performance, and sometimes their friendships. The other one is anxiety disorders can appear in children at different ages and in different ways. There are several kinds of these disorders, such as separation anxiety disorder, usually starts around ages 7 to 9. It's normal to miss parents, but it is a concern when the worry is excessive and persistent, leading to the clinginess and maybe even school refusal. Generalized anxiety disorder often begins around ages 8 to 12, and children may worry about many things, be perfectionistic, avoid situations, or often experience stomach aches and headaches. Social anxiety disorder typically appears around age 13. Teens may fear being judged or embarrassed, often avoiding social situations or staying very quiet. Then we have autism spectrum disorder, also known as ASD, usually shows signs very early in life, often before age 3. Some of the first clues may appear between maybe 12 to even 24 months, such as limited eye contact, reduced social interaction, or even delayed responses to others. As children grow and social demands increase, especially in preschool years, these differences may become more noticeable. Key characteristics to look at of autism include challenges with social communication. They may not understand social cues, difficulty understanding or responding to others, restricted or repetitive behaviors, sometimes known as stemming, and trouble coping with change in routine or environment. Then we also have another common one is conduct disorder. It's characterized by persistent patterns of behavior that violates the rights of others and major social norms. So child onset type symptoms appear before age 10, while adolescent onset type symptoms may appear after age 10. So common features include aggression towards people or animals, destruction of property, deceitfulness or theft, and serious rule violations. Children and adolescents with conduct disorder often display limited empathy or remorse and may minimize the impact of their behavior on others. Going on to the next slide, and these are another set of most common diagnoses. Disruptive mood dysregulation disorder. It must begin before age 7, and children are typically diagnosed between ages 6 and 18. Symptoms usually appear around ages 6 to 10 and are persistent and frequent. So, children with disruptive mood dysregulation disorder experience severe temper outbursts. They are much stronger than what would be expected in a situation. Chronic irritability, they're often grumpy, easily annoyed, and angry most of the day or nearly every day. And they experience angry moods between outbursts. These symptoms occur 3 or more times per week. Major depressive disorder can occur at any age, but it most commonly begins in the mid 20s. In adolescents between ages 13 and 18, it becomes more common, with rates increasing after age 12 and peaking in the late teens. So, children and teens with depression may experience persistent sadness or irritability, loss of interest in activities, changes in sleep or appetite, and feelings of worthlessness or guilt. Other symptoms may be restlessness or slowed movements, fatigue or low energy, difficulty concentrating, and recurrent thoughts of death or suicide thoughts. Oppositional defiant disorder, it usually becomes noticeable between ages 3 and 8, often starting in the preschool years. Early signs typically appear at home when children may frequently argue with parents, refuse to follow rules, or show irritability. Over time, these behaviors can generalize to school or other settings, affecting relationships with teachers, their peers, and maybe even other adults. So, children with ODD often have frequent temper outbursts. They argue or defy adults and may show a spiteful or vindictive behavior. And the last one that we'll discuss today is the post traumatic stress disorder. This can be developed at any time after a child experiences a traumatic event, such as abuse or an accident or natural disasters or witnessing violence. The onset of symptoms depends on when the trauma occurred. A child may react differently depending on their age. So, for preschool children under age 6, PTSD often shows up in play that reenacts the trauma, changes in behavior, increasing clinginess, or frequent tantrums, rather than through verbal expression. They may not have the words to describe what they experience. In older children and adolescents, common signs include re experiencing the trauma through nightmares or flashbacks, avoiding reminders of the event, or being constantly on, on guard or jumpy, emotionally numb, and may even have trouble sleeping. So, understanding these common mental health conditions, their typical ages of onset, and the important signs to notice can help us recognize the early warning signs. So, what is parental co-regulation? Parental co-regulation is how parents or caregivers help children and adolescents manage their emotions and their behaviors, especially during those stressful and emotional moments. It's not about fixing everything or making their problem disappear. It's about staying by their side during difficult times, offering calm guidance and support. So it's a shared process between parent and child. That means that both of you are actively involved. When your child and your teen feels overwhelmed, they can borrow your calm. Your steady presence helps them settle down until they can begin to manage their emotions on their own. Co regulation involves emotional connection and calm, supportive responses. This looks like staying present, listening without judgment, and responding in a way that helps your child feel safe and understood. When we do this, we're sending the message, you're not alone. I'm here with you, and together we'll get through this. As you guide your child through their feelings, you are also modeling healthy ways to cope with these feelings. Um, that might mean showing them how to take deep breaths, naming feelings out loud, pausing before reacting, or using a grounding technique like noticing things around the room. So, over time, children and teens begin to copy these same skills because they've seen you or us, the adults, to do them first. So ultimately, parental co regulation builds the skills for self regulation over time, that they can do it on their own. When your consistent support and your child learns how to calm themselves down, problem solve, and manage stress more independently, this ability not only helps them handle their daily challenges like schoolwork, friendships, or even disappointments, but also equip them with lifelong tools for success and resilience. So, why is parental co regulation so important? Supporting children and teens with emotional and mental health challenges requires patience, consistency, and connection. And co regulation is one of the most powerful tools that we can use. So, first, it builds emotional security and trust. When we respond with calm and empathy, even during those difficult moments or when emotions are heightened, our children learn it's safe to express their feelings. That sense of being accepted without judgment builds a stronger and more confident sense of self. Co regulation also models and teaches healthy coping strategies. Children learn best by watching us. When we when they see us take deep breaths, pause before we react, and to use the words to express how we feel, they begin to copy those tools. So over time, they practice using them on their own, which is especially valuable for children who struggle to self regulate. Another benefit that is that co regulation reduces the length and the intensity of the emotional outburst. Managing dysregulation with calm instead of frustration helps de escalate the moment. The more often we do this, the more quality our children's brain learns to return to calm. So, finally, co regulation strengthens the attachment and the connection in challenging moments and prepares our children for independent self regulation. While they may rely on us now, the skills we model today becomes the skills they carry into adulthood, helping them handle stress, relationships, and life challenges with resilience. So let's take a moment to understand what's happening in the brain when our children or our teens feel overwhelmed. When emotions run high, whether it is angry, they're anxious, or they're afraid, the amygdala, it's the alarm system. It takes over during those strong emotions. Its job is survival, um, not reasoning, which means their thinking and their reasoning temporarily just completely shut down. At the same time, the prefrontal cortex, that's the thinking part of the brain. It slows down, which makes it harder to think and self regulate. So, this part of the brain controls the decision making, it controls our self control and problem solving. So, when it slows down, children may struggle to manage their impulses, follow directions, or respond calmly. That's why sometimes we speak to them and they're not listening to us. For some children and teens, especially those with those unique emotional needs, children and teens with mental health needs may react a little bit more quickly or intensely. So, this shift can happen faster and feel a little more overwhelming, making emotional regulation a little more challenging. That's where we as adults come in. Our calm, steady presence helps the brain return to regulation by staying present, composed, and supportive. We provide a sense of safety that shows the brain to shift from alarm mode back to thinking mode. Over time, through this co regulation, children and teens learn the skills that they need to handle their emotions, cope with stress, and manage those difficult situations on their own. So, as parents, knowing how your child or your teen's brain develops can also help you see why your support matters so much, especially when they're dealing with these behavioral challenges or the mental health diagnosis. So, from birth to about 9 years old, the children's brains are still developing the systems that help regulate those emotions. So they rely heavily on adults to manage those big feelings. Your calm guidance is especially important for those children with those mental health diagnoses and may experience even more intense emotions. Now, from ages 10 to 19 during adolescence, the brain is still growing rapidly, but the prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for planning, decision making, and self control, it's fully it is not fully matured yet. This means that teens can act impulsively, have trouble thinking ahead, and struggle to manage their emotions. So these challenges can feel even bigger for those teens with like ADHD, anxiety, depression, or other mental health diagnoses. And between ages 20 and 24, young adults are still developing their high level thinking skills. They're better at managing their emotions than the teens, but your support can still make a big difference, especially when they're stressed or facing some really strong emotional situations. And around 25, finally, at age 25, the prefrontal cortex is fully developed and emotional regulation skills are more mature. By then, the skills that we help them as children and teens practice through co regulation, like naming their emotions, calming strategies, coping tools, allow them to manage their feelings on their own independently. So, parents, you may already be using many of these co regulation strategies without even realizing it. But let's take a closer look at how co regulation changes as children grow and they develop. So, co regulation shifts as their brain and their emotional skills develop. For children and teens with these mental health or behavioral challenges, these differences can be a little more noticeable because their brains are still learning how to regulate these emotions. So they may react more intensely, maybe a bit stronger, have or experience stronger feelings, or struggle a little longer to calm down. So their emotions may feel bigger, happen more often, or be harder to manage without the adult support. So infants from birth to about 12 months, they rely completely on us, the adults. And you probably remember if when your child was a baby to help regulate their emotions. That physical soothing, like rocking, holding, and that gentle touch is essential to help calm their nervous system. Using soothing voice tones like cooing or saying shh, 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 shh gives comfort and lets them know that they're safe. For infants with those unique emotional needs, rapid and repeated responsiveness to their cries and their coos is often necessary to help them feel secure and have their emotional needs met quickly. So these early experiences set the stage for trust and that emotional regulation as they grow. Now, looking at toddlers, the terrible twos, as we know, from ages 1 to about 3 years old. They're starting to recognize their feelings, but still they have very few words to express them. So, co regulation at this stage includes labeling those emotions, simply like saying, "You're upset," or "I see you're sad," to help them connect the feeling with the words. So, redirecting attention to a soothing activity or even a toy can even help them calm down, like kind of distract them a little bit when they're feeling distressed. Sometimes even offering two simple choices, such as, "Do you want your blue cup or do you want your red cup?" gives the toddlers a sense of control. This is especially important for children with those emotional and behavioral challenges. They may get frustrated a little more easily and struggle with those impulses. So repeated support and guidance helps them begin to understand and manage their emotions. So for the school age children, ages 4 up to 10, co-regulation becomes more interactive and conversational. So brief coaching, like saying, Let's take 3 big breaths together. Helps teach calming strategies, helping children brainstorm coping tools such as drawing or telling a story or using a stress ball. Gives them ideas of how they can eventually use their own strategies or coping strategies. So, guiding them through the problem solving by asking, what could you do next time to feel better? Supports their growing emotional intelligence and their self regulation skills. Kind of helps them come up with a plan. Children with mental health or behavioral needs may need that extra modeling and those prompts, those consistent practices to really um, internalize these skills. So for adults ages about 11 to 10, co-regulation respects their growing need for independence. We all know that that age they want to be independent while still offering the support. So active listening without rushing to fix it, like saying, "Tell me more about what you're feeling," or kind of shows them that their emotions are valid and that you're willing to hear what they're feeling. Collaborative strategies, for example, asking them, "Do you want my input or would you prefer some space first?" Right? Honors their autonomy. Encouraging self advocacy, phrases such as, "How can I support you in talking to your teacher?" helps the teens build confidence and problem solving skills. So, teens with mental health diagnosis or emotional behavioral challenges may need more structured guidance. They might need a little bit more reminders, reassurance as they navigate those complex emotions and social situations. So, across all the ages, our goal is the same: to provide calm, steady guidance that helps the children and adolescents gradually build the skills to manage their emotions on their own. For children with those unique emotional and behavioral needs, repeated exposure to supportive co regulation is especially important, helping them feel safe, helping them feel understood and capable of handling those life challenges. So now let's take a shift into a few another little interactive activity. I'm probably not going to share my screen. I'll let you know what I see because I don't want to mess it up again for you. I'd like you to think about how your child or your teen or your children who you work with, if you are a teacher or an educator, and reflect on this question. What tends to trigger those big emotional reactions in them? What is the thing that makes them really become really dysregulated? We're going to take a quick poll, and you'll see a list of common emotional triggers, things like hunger, transitions, overstimulation, or feeling left out. These may seem small to us as adults, but to a developing brain, they can feel really overwhelming. So you can select the top three. Um, there's no right or wrong answer. It is just to raise awareness of what our children and teens might be going through under the surface. I'll give you a little moment to respond to that, and I will check here in my end if I'm able to see that. Again, I would love to share the screen, but I'm so afraid to mess it up.
Just a
Oh,
rem-
wonderful. Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry, just a reminder, you join at menti.com and the code is up at the top.
Yes.
Some of
Thank
them,
you.
all right.
Yes. Yes, correct. Okay, so again, I would love to share this, but I'm really afraid to mess it up again. Um, I'm being very honest. Uh, the top three that I'm noticing here is anxiety or worrying about the future. That's like the number one that we're noticing. And transitions, leaving a fun activity or ending the screen time. Oh, definitely. Yeah. The third one is overstimulation, like noise, crowds, too many choices. And those were really the top three that that everybody kind of agrees on. So again, anxiety and worrying about the future, transitionings, and overstimulation. Thank you all so much for voting on that. So thank you again. So here is a quick takeaway, parents and educators. Behavior is communication. Their behavior is communicating something to us. What might look like defiance or attitude is often a signal of something deeper is happening. When we learn to notice these triggers, we can respond with empathy and and intention before emotions spiral out of control. And remember, sometimes even your child doesn't know what's wrong. Sometimes they don't even know what they're feeling. That's where the co regulation comes in, where we help them feel safe enough to figure it out together. So, parents, you may already have a sense of, the moments when co-regulation is most helpful for your child, right? We've all been there. Um, so recognizing these moments allows you to step in at just the right time. This is especially important for children and those teens with those mental health and behavioral challenges. Um, those emotions are just so strong and they occur more frequently and be harder to manage on their own. So, some common situations where co regulation is most needed: tantrums, meltdowns, or mood swings. During these times, a child's emotions may feel overwhelming and they cannot calm themselves. For children with these unique emotional needs, these episodes may happen more often or escalate even from a 0 to a 10, like really, really quick. Our calm and steady presence provides that safety and helps them begin to regain that control. Fear, anxiety, or shame. These feelings can cause children to freeze, shut down, or even react in confusing ways. By staying emotionally connected and supportive, we help them process those difficult emotions without any judgment. This is particularly important for those children with those diagnoses like anxiety or autism or depression. It can amplify those reactions. After arguments or peer conflicts, children may feel hurt, misunderstood, or angry. So, our role is to help them unpack their feelings, rebuild a sense of safety, and guide them toward problem solving instead of those lingering frustrations. So, children with these unique emotional needs may require that little extra support during these moments. Transitions or major life changes. That's actually the second one that we all agreed on, right? Events like moving to a new school, starting a new activity, or even family changes can increase the stress and the uncertainty. So that's where the co regulation helps the children navigate these changes with confidence. And those, again, with those mental health and behavioral challenges, it often needs that additional reassurance and repeated guidance to adjust successfully. And also, whenever emotions feel too big to manage alone, this could include sadness, frustration, or even excitement. Our presence provides a safe space for these strong feelings and models how to handle emotional intensity in a healthy way. By noticing these moments and stepping in with a calm, the support, the guidance, we help our children feel understood, safe, and empowered. Okay, so as we discussed previously about co regulation, it is simply about staying calm, connecting, validating their feelings, guiding them, and reinforcing. To make it easier to remember, we can use this simple acronym CALM. CALM. The CALM model makes these steps easy to remember and apply in real life. So, one thing to remember is that every household is unique, right? And that's what makes this model so flexible. You can adapt CALM to fit your family's routines, the personalities, or even daily challenges. So, this approach is especially helpful for the children and teens who experience those big emotions or have those diagnosed challenges like ADHD, anxiety, or depression. Using it consistently helps them feel safe, understood, and supported as they learn to manage their emotions. So, the first step, C, stands for calm yourself. I know it's hard. To truly support a child, it's important that we first manage our own emotions. Taking a deep breath and centering ourselves helps soothe our nervous system. By maintaining our calm, we offer a reliable, reassuring presence that helps the child's brain reduce its stress and feel safe. Especially important for children who may already be highly sensitive to change in tone, body language, or even facial expressions. Next, A. A stands for acknowledge their feelings. This means that we notice and we accept what our child is feeling. Saying something like, I see you're scared, or it's okay to feel frustrated, lets them know that their feelings matter and that their feelings are okay. For children with mental health conditions or challenges, this validation can help prevent them from feeling shameful or blaming themselves, which can otherwise worsen the symptoms and damage that trust. The third step, L, link with support, or we can also say lean in. This means creating a sense of safety through physical comfort or emotional presence. We might sit close to them, offer a gentle touch, like a hand on their shoulder, or maintain that soft eye contact while listening carefully. These actions help the child secure attachment and support the child's ability to calm down and regulate their emotions. Um, Also, very important to kind of get at their eye level, right? A child's over here and our eye level is up here. That could be a little intimidating sometimes. So sometimes we just kind of squat down or sit down and kind of be at eye level. That can kind of help us lean in a little bit more and support them. Finally, M stands for manage the emotions together. At this stage, we guide our child through calming techniques, such as slow, deep breathing or grounding exercise, doing this together. Then, by commonly talking through the situation, we help them make sense of what happened and begin those healthy coping skills. For children with those unique emotional needs, this shared process can be a bridge between emotional dysregulation and problem solving, helping them feel capable and supported. So, by following the calm steps, we create a nurturing environment that supports the connection and helps our child develop the ability to manage those strong emotions in a healthy way. As we continue, we'll explore situations that we might have encountered or may encounter and apply these steps to see how co regulation works in practices. we'll probably, if we have time, do an actual scenario. So I'm going to try to do this as quickly as I can. I'm not sure how we're doing with time. I probably will not have time to go through this, um, but I'll just go ahead and just do a few of them, maybe the most common ones. We're going to learn how to utilize these approaches based on the specific diagnosis that we just talked about. And as you'll notice, some of these strategies might be familiar without throughout the different diagnoses. So a lot of it repeats itself. So that's why I won't go into detail for each of the slides because of time and also because some of it is a little bit repetitive. So I'll focus on this one for sure to kind of explain, and then we'll just kind of go through the other slides and you'll kind of see the pattern. Um, as you will notice, some of these strategies, again, might repeat. So co-regulation with calm for attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Children with ADHD, as we mentioned, often have difficulty controlling impulses, staying focused, or managing frustration. So, the goal of calm, if you'll notice to the left, we're using the same formula. Calm yourself. A, acknowledge feelings. L, link and support. M, manage the emotion together. Kind of looking at this, we're going to look at what's the goal for that, and then maybe some strategies, and then why it works. So I'll kind of explain that the best that I can and as quickly as I can. All right, so C, calm yourself. The goal is to reduce emotional escalation. That's why, right? Parents first take the deep breath, they pause for a few seconds before responding, and maintain a neutral tone and relaxed body language. This helps prevent the situation from escalating and models that calm behavior for your child. A, acknowledge that feeling. What's the goal? To build that emotional awareness. The parents name what the child is feeling, they validate it, and they help them reflect on their emotion. So, for example, saying, like, I see you're frustrated. Um, it seems hard right now. Helps the children recognize their emotions without that shame, and they feel that they're understood. They kind of put their guard down, like, oh, mom and dad get it. They know what I'm feeling, or my teacher knows what I'm feeling. L, link with support. That is to strengthen that connection. Sitting nearby or at eye level, like we mentioned, um, offering that gentle reassurance or providing sensory tools like fidget toys or a weighted blanket, depending on, everybody's different, right? um, Feeling supported helps them focus and follow that guidance. M, manage the emotion together. And why? Because we want to promote self regulation. We want them to learn from us so that they can learn to do it on their own. So, parents break the tasks into smaller steps. This is really important for for ADHD. You tell them do this, do this, do this, do this. You lost them at the first few words. So it's important to do the task one step at a time. Practice those coping skills such as a deep breathing or movement breaks. Sometimes they need those breaks to let out some of that energy, and even praise their effort while brainstorming solutions together. I can see that you're really trying to to calm down. That's great. Like, praise them for their attempt to try to do it, try to calm themselves down. All right, this one is for children with anxiety. Again, looking at what the goal is, what the strategy is, and then why it works. It's kind of the same feeling. So let me see how I'm doing with time. Okay, so I'll give you a few seconds to kind of take a look at that. Maybe the ones that, as I'm going through the slides because of time, and I do want the slides to be recorded, that way it can be paused and looked at and reviewed. Um, Kind of look at the specific strategies and why it works. Okay, I think we got the model okay. This one here is for autism. So take a look at some of those specific strategies, and then why those strategies work, right? Because, for example, speaking slowly, it allows time before responding. Consistent, calm behaviors prevent that sensory overload, especially for our kiddos with autism. Okay. This one right here is using the calm strategy for conduct disorder. Um, Looking at why this works is that, our calm prevents that power struggle, you know, and so that's one of the advantages of using this model. And we have as well for the disruptive mood dysregulation disorder, if you'll take a look at some of the specific strategies that you can use, validating their feelings, um, and using that neutral tone so that it doesn't escalate. Okay? This one right here are for the major depressive disorder. Validating their feelings is very important with this one. Like really letting them know that you understand, uh, what they're feeling and helping them manage those feelings, making them know that they're understood and they're valued. For oppositional defiant disorder, yeah, again, we don't want this to escalate. Um, and we want them to be able to express their feelings without feeling that shame. As I usually always tell my patients or my students, there's nothing wrong with being angry. It's what we do when we're angry that kind of gets us into trouble. So kind of keeping that in mind, that it's okay that they're upset, validating why they're upset. But then once they're calm, then you can talk about, you know, how they could have handled that better and so forth. And then post-traumatic stress disorder, again, yes, speaking softly, maybe, having that connection there with them so that they know that they're safe, that they're not in danger. Um, One strategy that helps a lot with this one is the grounding technique. Using our five senses, tell me something that you see, something that you can feel, that you can hear, that you can listen to or taste. Okay. Also, like for the little ones, they might not fully understand all of that. Just maybe telling them a color, right? Um, let's find as many things that we can, color blue, and then that way it gets them to look around and look for things in that color. Okay, so now let's walk through the two examples using the CALM strategy. These are two scenarios, and I'm just going to go by it really quick because this is real life, right? I think we've all been here. I'm using one example with the little ones and then one example with a teenager. So the scenario here is that an 8-year-old with ADHD and ODD is told to stop playing video games and gets angry. Yeah, we can probably all relate to this, right? So using this model, calm. First, we have to calm ourselves. The parent takes a deep breath and centers themselves before reacting. Staying calm helps prevent the situation from escalating and models how to handle that strong emotion without losing the control. Acknowledge the feeling. The parent recognizes the child is frustrated. They might say, I see that you're really upset about stopping the game. It can be hard to stop when you're having fun. So you see, you're validating what they're feeling. You're not going to give in to what they want. You're still staying firm, but you're being that support, right? Link with the support. What that looks like is um, the parent offers comfort and connection by sitting nearby, maintaining that eye contact and gently placing a hand on the child's shoulder. You know your child, right? Some children like the touch and some don't. And then manage the emotion together where the parent can guide them to calm down. Let's take a deep breath together. Maybe you need to sit in the calming corner, to calm yourself down, and then we can talk once you're calm. And then scenario two, a 14-year-old girl diagnosed with depression and anxiety slams her bedroom door after being told that she can't go to her friend's house. So, how do we handle this? Again, calm ourselves, making sure that we are calm, acknowledging the feeling, telling the child something like, I see that you're really upset about not going to your friend's house. It's normal to feel frustrated when plans don't go the way that you want. See, you're validating their feeling and you're showing them that you understand what they're feeling. And then link in with the support. They might stay nearby, keep that soft eye contact, or just gently let the teen know that you're available when they're ready to talk. And then M, manage the emotion. The parent could say that when you're ready, we can talk about why I said no and explain other ways to spend time with your friends another time, right? So you're not necessarily giving in to what the child wants. You're still being assertive, but you're showing that support. Okay, so really, really quick, um, adults' emotional health matters. Okay, I'm going to end with this. Um, so, how do we stay calm? How do we stay regulated? Right? The first point is co regulation starts with the adult's ability to stay regulated. Um, our ability to remain calm creates a sense of safety and models healthy regulation in action. So it communicates that I've got you, we can get through this together. And again, using whatever works for us to calm ourselves down. Again, taking deep breaths, maybe going to a little quiet spot for ourselves to kind of get ourselves put together before that we react. And let's see, recognize those emotional triggers. Yes, so important that we recognize what our triggers are. So we looked at what the kids' triggers are. um, we need to reflect on what is our triggers. What maybe it's the yelling, maybe it's a defiance, maybe it's feeling disrespected. And when we become aware of our own emotional triggers, then we can gain the power to pause and choose how to respond instead of reacting on that impulse, being a little bit more aware. And then practice those grounding techniques. We can do it ourselves, right? Like taking those deep breaths, stepping away briefly, and using those calming self-talk, talking to ourselves to kind of calm ourselves down. And then reach out for support. No one has to do this alone. Supporting children's emotionally takes a lot of energy, and it can be even more challenging when they have these mental health diagnoses or these behavioral challenges. So parents and caregivers, you need support too, whether it's talking to a friend or seeing a therapist or joining a parenting group or building in time for self-care, right? Doing things that you enjoy. These supports refill our emotional needs as well. So asking for help isn't a weakness, parents. It is smart, it's a strong act of care and courage that benefits both you and your child. So I'm going to skip this right here. There's a quote here called says, "The greatest gift that you can give your child is your own emotional presence." That is the greatest gift that you can give them, is that presence and knowing that they are supported. So parents, I have here some recommended parenting resources that you can use. These are books. I'm not getting anything out of this. These are just some top bestseller books to that you can maybe get on Amazon or at a bookstore if you would like to kind of learn a little bit more about how to help your child manage your emotions.
That is amazing, Miss Ramirez.
Okay, I think I'm
Thank
done.
you. Yes, it is 10 o'clock, and I want to thank you for your time and your knowledge. And parents and everyone that's on this morning, this is a service that we get that is free to United ISD because of the MOU that we have, the Memorandum of Understanding. So, Ms. Martinez, thank you for your knowledge, for your time, great explanations, great strategies, not only explanations, but great strategies. I also want to thank Camila Martinez from TChat. She's on with us. I know she's in Laredo delivering stuff for us as well. Please make sure that you sign in. And this has been recorded. So it will be, I'm going to stop the recording now. This will be on our uisd.net. And under guidance and counseling, you can find this recording. So thank you once again, Ms. Ramirez. Greatly appreciate your time again. And it was great to meet you. It was amazing.
Likewise. Thank you for
Thank you.
having me. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you, everyone, for attending.
Thank you.